Well, welcome back to my YouTube videos, and today we're going to be looking at one of these cameras. Now, you may have seen these things on Facebook Marketplace or a variety of different Amazon, and you can see that you can get these cameras, 30 megapixel and all these features for about $40. I wanted to see how well they worked, and once again in my videos I do explain to people it's not really the equipment necessarily that gives you your great imagery. It's you, and you need to work on your skills. That's way more important than the equipment. But I wanted to test out one of these cameras just to see. I mean, if you can see inside this fake lens looking enclosure, there's just a little dot where the lens actually is, and this is supposed to be a 30 megapixel camera, and we're going to test it against a real 30 megapixel camera and see what type of imagery we can get. So let's get to it. I'm going to test out this little camera, this little 2.7K, supposedly 30 megapixel, $20 camera that you'll see all over the internet. And as far as the build quality is concerned, it's plastic. Nothing seems to operate. The lens doesn't operate. A lot of the buttons on here are just molded into the case. But if you're just looking for some imagery at a discount price, these things can take some good imagery. It's more about the photographer than the equipment. And yes, the equipment makes a big difference too. But all in all, I'm going to show you a couple of images taken from this little inexpensive camera, and you be the judge. So let's start off with video. I'm going to show a couple examples of shooting video with this camera. You have to understand there's no image stabilization. There's nothing built into the lens to stabilize the image, nothing built into the camera to stabilize the image. So I did a little video walking around a little bit so you can see how shaky it is. Now when I show you these photographs, I tried to keep everything as apples to apples as I could. So I normally shoot in RAW when I'm shooting my imagery. So I bumped it down to JPEG because that's what this little camera shoots at. I tried to keep the file sizes as close to the same size when they're taking the imagery as I could. So I tried to make it apples to apples as best as I could. So I'm going to show you some of the imagery, you know, from the Canon 90D and from this inexpensive camera. And initially you're going to notice that just the regular imagery looks pretty decent. I will say I had problems with the inexpensive camera getting it to focus exactly where I wanted to. It had a little focus emblem in there, and it would go from yellow to green depending on whether things were in focus or not, and you just didn't have any control of what exactly it was that you wanted to take a photograph and get that specific thing in focus. So I had a little difficulty with that. Like I said, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time learning how to use this camera. All in all, the imagery looked pretty decent. Now, supposedly they're both 30 megapixel cameras, so when you crop in or when you zoom into the image, you would expect them to be somewhat alike, but as you can see in the examples that I'm showing, completely different. Now, all in all, the regular imagery looked pretty good, and if that's what you're going for, a $20 camera can get you the imagery you want. Once you've learned your rules and how to take good photographs, you can take good photographs with an inexpensive camera. And that's the point of this video. You don't have to have the highest stuff. As you've seen in the examples, definitely the equipment makes a difference. I'm not saying that. The higher end equipment you have normally, the higher quality of the imagery you're going to get. But you can take an inexpensive camera like this and go out and take some wonderful shots. And I recommend, if that's what's in your budget, you do that. Start learning your skills with an inexpensive camera. Okay, that was our test of the Ultra HD 30 megapixel cameras. Once again, it's all about the photographer. It's about how you see things through that camera lens or that live view that you're using that creates the imagery you want. Can you do it with an inexpensive camera? Yes, you can. Can you do it with a high-end expensive camera? Yes, you can. And the differences may not be that important to you. You may not be doing cropping or zooming into a photograph and are very happy with the imagery you're getting from this camera. I must say, if you're going to an environment where there's a possibility you could damage your expensive equipment, I would definitely consider like something like this, that you wouldn't feel so bad if it got damaged and you still picked up some decent imagery. So once again, thanks for stopping by and watching this video. Please like, subscribe, or share it if you can. I appreciate every subscriber I get it. And once again, I hope you have a great day.